MTN Sports, this is Bobcat Insider, sponsored by First Interstate Bank.
Coach, here we are, final week of the regular season. How are we feeling?
Good, yeah, it's great to be in the final week, obviously playing our rivals with a whole heck of a lot to play for.
Yeah, how's the energy? How's the physicality? I mean, everybody gets a little tired at this time of year.
You know what, mid-November, I really feel like we've practiced as well as we have all year. I think, there's obviously a lot of emotion tied to this game, this opponent. Really talked about that emotion fueling you, and that's fueling your prep more than thinking just emotion is going to get you through on game day. So our guys have really attacked the process well this week, and I'm excited, to see how it unfolds on Saturday.
And this is kind of the culmination of one of your philosophies in terms of just that consistency, week in and week out. How do you feel like that's serving the team right now?
Well, I think it serves us well. You can't ride that roller coaster, as we've talked about. All that's at stake this week. Shouldn't all of a sudden get you to play better. You should be aiming to play your best each week, and I think that's what our guys are making this about. How do we beat a really good opponent on Saturday? And that's, really no different than we would treat any other week. Now, there's different emotions that come into play here, but just, again, let that emotion fuel you as you prep and, go out and play your game because you are prepared on Saturday.
Well, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, but first I want to talk a little bit about this week against Eastern Washington. Saw some fine performances, and it's got to really kind of warm your heart a little bit when you see all these seniors on Senior Day impact the game the way they did.
Yeah, absolutely. A really interesting group for sure. Not a huge group by numbers, but you have the 5 guys that have been here for 6 years. You have the 6 transfers in that group, and on Senior Day for them to be as impactful as they were, that's what you want it to be. You need your seniors to play well their senior year, and we're getting that out of this group.
Sean Chambers, he had 5 rushes, 4 passes, and 5 touchdowns on those 9 snaps. It did also seem, in terms of the way he was passing the ball, the offensive line gave him a mountain of time. And I know you guys wanted to improve the pass protection. How do you think the offensive line did in that regard?
Well, I think they're all play-action passes, for the most part, maybe, except with the exception of one. And when we're running our play-action game, you should not get a team that's in full force as far as their pass rush. We really got to take advantage of that piece. Obviously got our guys behind the defense. But, yeah, Sean had a lot of time to operate back there, and guys got open and delivered really good passes.
And that long touchdown run as well going into the Sunny Holland end zone looked like Ryan Lonergan had a really key block on there, and he continues to improve in that regard.
Yeah, 3rd and short play, really counting on Ryan to make the key block right there, and he did. He came across, really put their defenders in a bind. They ended up with 2 in the same gap, and no one in the gap that Sean entered, and Sean did the rest, but it was really set up by a great block by Ryan.
One of the other really special moments in this was Lane Sumner getting a touchdown. He's been through so much. Hadn't scored a touchdown since November of 2019. That had to be really satisfying to get him in a position like that. Yeah,
absolutely. Lane wants to finish his career on his own terms. That's been complicated. He's had a lot of setbacks over the last couple years in particular, but he continues to fight and scrap and do whatever he can. He's playing a big role in special teams right now, but to get him back in the end zone, that was a special deal on Senior Day.
On the defensive side, for Nolan Askelson, he's been asked to do so much, especially with Danny Louis-Lakepa going down. He's one of your senior leaders, one of your captains, got the interception, a lot of tackles in this game. How's he holding up with just the snap load he's had since Danny went down?
Yeah, these last few weeks have took its toll, I think, on Nolan and McCade. It'll be great to get Danny back because that 3-man rotation, does serve us better. But yeah, Nolan and McCade have really played well through this stretch, been in a lot of plays, and they continue to lead us on that defensive side.
How much are we expecting from Danny this weekend?
Well, he's worked through practice. I think hungry to play and as fully functional as a guy can be, missing a few weeks. But, we expect to have Danny be out there and get in the rotation.
Staying on this defense, there were a few big pass plays you guys gave up against Eastern Washington, and for Montana, they've been throwing the football fairly well. What are you seeing in some of those big pass plays that you've allowed, and how do you tighten that up a little bit?
Yeah, I think in this Eastern game, we knew that Efton Chisholm was going to be difficult to tackle, and we didn't tackle him a couple times. Those were a couple of those plays. There's a couple times they got behind us with some double moves where we just probably lost our discipline in particular, and those are plays that we can't give up. We got to be, when we play zone coverage, we got to be in the right spots, and then when we play man-to-man, we got to be able to really challenge them and know that there's 50-50 situations that they're maybe going to make, but we got to make more of them.
Also on the defensive end, Paul Brott got his first career sack. Was this his best game as a Bobcat?
I believe so, yeah. Paul hasn't been healthy through most of this calendar year, but really is now. And as he's played more and more, his experience is growing. I think his confidence is growing, and that was his best, most productive day, and we'll certainly need him down the stretch.
Is defensive line maybe the deepest position you guys have right now? I mean, it's just watching those hockey line changes is a lot of fun.
We're pretty fortunate. That group has stayed relatively healthy, and guys have gained experience. So in turn, the coaches have gained confidence in them. So yeah, I think we're playing with more guys now than we certainly were even a month ago, and that's going to need to be the case. We got a really strong first group, but that second group, when they go in there, they got to be every bit as strong. And I think last Saturday was the best evidence of that to this point.
Hey, even got another touchdown and interception from a defensive lineman. You got 2 of those this year. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, what a play by Cat-Griz. Zach's been getting more and more time on defense. Has really done a good job on special teams. Blocked a punt in this game, and then for him to get a hand on that ball and then be able to take it into the end zone. Great play by him, and we hope to have him continue to contribute on that side of the ball as well.
Good stuff. I know we're very excited. We're going to take a break, but when we get back, we'll get another cut from the Players Lounge talking to the offensive line, and later, Grace Lawrence is talking to Ryland on the Bobcat Insider.
Welcome back to Bobcat Insider, sponsored by First Interstate Bank.
We're back and ready for another cut of the Players Lounge, talking to a couple of offensive linemen, Rush Reimer, Marcus Weir, and Leo Davis are chatting a little bit about just what it takes to be an offensive lineman and all of the scheming and how much you have to learn from a defense right now.
I learned more about defense playing offensive line than I learned about defense playing defense. Yeah. Oh. Because we see different defense every day. So when I'm watching safety and corner rotation, I know a blitz is coming. And I'm telling my wingman, like, hey, here we go.
Oh, but you know defense, you never had to worry about that. I know that.
It was your gap. It was like, man your gap.
That's pretty good. Okay.
Yeah. So it was pretty much like, you go here on this play. Make Bobby Daly look good. You know what I mean?
Stay in front of these 2 people so he can run through.
He gonna get through,
Okay, but as far as O-line, you really got to know the whole defense because I didn't even know that, to tell you the truth.
Not only that, but like you said about the playbook, man, it's thicker than the New Testament. And I was like, whoa, and I didn't know we had this many variances for like inside zone. Yeah. I thought an inside zone in high school was just step to that gap and whatever comes your way. But for us, man, being able to communicate, not only, to identify the linebacker we're going to move the blocking scheme to, but also have the what ifs in mind. And then also having to be smart enough when you got a freshman quarterback like Daenerys and be like, hey, bro, we can't run this right now.
Oh, really?
Over here. And he's like, yeah, you're right. So we check out. And so just being able.
But if you didn't have that knowledge, you wouldn't even be able to help him. So that's why.
No, it wouldn't. But a lot of time in the film room, the schematics. But I think for me, it was a technique. Being an athlete is a double-edged sword, man. You come in and you're like, oh, I'm a banger. I'm going to put my head on everything. But you can't do that in the pass game. No. For me, I grew up thinking you can't hit what you can't see. So, my face mask was always getting,
But that ain't the right fundamental way, right?
The fundamentals. Get your head out of the block. Use your length, use your leverage. Half a man way more than a whole man. Different things like that where there was so much instilled those first couple years I played offensive line. My senior year, I was like, okay, I'm ready.
So the same way things. So y'all got to almost know the whole defense in order to do your job at that point. Huh?
And on top of that, not only you got to know your job, the rest of the other guys need to be on the same page.
Yeah.
Because it just takes one to screw the play up.
The whole play off of one thing. So that's where the trust got to come in.
Pretty interesting stuff there. Leo Davis saying that he learned more about defense playing offense. How much prep work does go in for those offensive linemen to get to know an opposing defense?
Quite a bit, and just knowing that the story is going to change each week, the way a defense is going to line up first of all, and then how they're going to attack you changes from week to week, and just the different situations that come into play. The run and passing game on first down looks way different than on third down in particular. It looks way different when you start getting into the goal line situations. So, the volume that our guys just need to study and learn, and then at the same time, the amount of things we ask them to do, it's it's very educated as far as all the thought that goes into that. We're fortunate we got an experienced group right now that knows how to learn, knows how to apply it on the field. Maybe much different than the beginning of last year where we felt like, okay, pretty inexperienced, we can only ask them to do so much. So there's always a fine line in that capacity that those guys can learn. But when you have a bunch of smart guys that have played together, you can do more and more.
Yeah, that's so much on top of learning all of that and going to class and all that. At what point in the week do you feel like the offensive line really has a good handle on the opposing defense?
Well, you want you want your Tuesday to be a little bit of a trial and error as far as learning. You don't want your Tuesday to be perfect. If it's too perfect, you're maybe not asking them to do much. But turning that page into Wednesday for us, our practice needs to start looking a little different. And you want Thursday to be that day where you feel like, okay, everything's clicked for the most part. But there might still be a few things that you got to iron out come Friday. But it's a progression, and you want to be able to do as much as you can while allowing that group to play as fast and physical as it possibly can too.
Well, that O-line was big in last season's Brawl of the Wild. They're going to be big again this year, and we're going to be talking about that in just a bit. Stick around for the next segment of the Bobcat Insider.
Welcome back to Bobcat Insider, sponsored by First Interstate Bank.
Back in the Bobcat Insider, getting ready for Brawl of the Wild edition 122. This one over in Missoula. And, Coach, thinking back to last year, the ground game obviously so impressive. Elijah Elliott was an absolute beast, especially considering all the injuries in the running back room. What did you like when you think back to last year, just in terms of the offensive line and what Elijah Elliott was doing?
Well, I thought we set the tone right from the start. That first drive, we covered a lot of the field in 3 plays, and we were able to push the ball in. And then they answered us offensively, but then again on offense, we were able to continue that running game. And really that first quarter, really establish it in a lot of different ways. And Elijah was a big part of that. Our quarterbacks, both Tommy and Sean were a big part of that. And then I think, our offensive line and then that group extended out to the receivers, the tight ends, just a really good job of getting on their guys. They have a challenging scheme, a challenging defensive scheme, and they got a group that plays really hard. So you have to be able to match that intensity. You got to play really fast at the same time. You can't let their scheme slow you down. And I thought we did that from the start last week, or last year, I should say, and we need to do that again this year.
That defense for them, they did lose a couple of guys who went on and played at the next level from last year, but they come right back in this year. One of the best rush defenses in the country again. How different is this defense this year compared to last year for Montana?
Well, some new faces, a new coordinator this year, same package. I think they're utilizing a little bit different, but they still, serve very multiple. They'll align in many different ways. A lot of movements up front. That part hasn't changed. Maybe the Ryland region a little bit has for them, but still a group that tries to create chaos, and then they play so hard and they tackle really well. And I think those things have been true, in each of these years that we've played them since I've been here, and it's no different this year. So, tall task for us to find a way to rush the ball against them, but that's certainly going to be a key for us having success.
Now for Montana, it was a bit of a slow start on the year. They were getting some wins, but they had the loss at Northern Arizona, and then they really kind of seemed to start clicking once Clifton McDowell got installed at quarterback. When you watched some of their tape, was it just as simple as them getting some better quarterback play to get things going?
Well, I think it definitely stabilized them. They were playing with 2 different styles of quarterbacks up to that point. And I think it's allowed them to find their way. I think what McDowell has allowed for their offense is to really inject his mobility, both in the passing game as he extends plays, but then in the quarterback run game. Gilman, I think, has been really steady at the running back position, Osmo, all season long. And I think McDowell is just gave defenses more to prepare for. And he's playing right now with a high level of confidence. I think they have a really good receiver group that he's finding in some big play opportunities. And, they've just continued to gain confidence, and I think they're obviously playing as well as they have all season these last couple of weeks.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about his arm talent. I mean, he's got so many different guys he can throw to, but what types of throws does he excel at?
Well, I think he's capable of making all the throws. He does get the ball out of his hand quickly. I think that's one thing you see. I mean, he's a big, sturdy guy, so I think he can see everything. They've protected him real well as of late. You think about the time he's had to go through his first read, his second read, his third read the last couple weeks. I think that's been very impressive. They've had big play capabilities all the way down to their screen game has been effective. So a lot to defend. Like any week, we got to keep the ball in front of us, and we got to tackle well. I think that's the calling card that they've been able to really do the last couple weeks. I think is break tackles, not let the first guy get them down, and that's something we have to find a real balance, keep it in front of us, and tackle it.
Special teams, it's always been a storyline in this series, but when you look at what you got with Brendan Hall right now in terms of the punt game and the kickoff, you got to feel like you've got an ace in the hole in this matchup right now, yeah?
Yeah, if you can eliminate their return game, I think the kickoff piece is one thing, but certainly in the punt game, Junior Bergen's one of the best in our league, if not the country. And Brennan at the same time, I think is one of the best in the country as well. And you know, his distance, his hang time are going to be critical. You know, when and if we have to punt on Saturday to allow our guys to get down there and cover. We didn't punt last year. That was one way to do it, but you know, anticipating that we will have to punt a few times, really going to count on Brennan to, you know, make a difference.
Yeah, the if's doing a lot of work in there after last year's offense performance. But even with for Brendan Hall, you know, when he is kicking as far as he has, over a 50-yard average last week, it doesn't feel like he's out kicking the coverage, which could be an issue. Is that what you're saying too?
Well, the hang time piece, you know, he's getting that ball up in the air and it is hanging up there as much as it's traveling down the field, and that allows your coverage to get down there. You know, it's one thing if you hit low liners or whatever that go a long ways, that's when you truly do outkick your coverage. But to this point, he's matched his distance with his hang time, you know, and that's why our net punt has continued to climb as the season has gone along.
All right, well, here we go. Number 122 between Montana State and Montana. You guys feeling ready for this environment going in next week?
No, I mean, it's going to be a hostile environment. I know that's our guys understand that. We've played in a couple of this year. We got to learn from those experiences. We have several guys that were on that field in 21. Certainly can't let that consume you. You got to embrace it. You know, this is what you work all those days of the year for. It's opportunities like this, and you just got to go out there and, you know, play between the lines, focus as highly as you can, and go after it.
Well, lots of house divided, and also plenty of houses that have been flipped. And one of those guys was Ryland, who Grace Lawrence is sitting down with next on the Bobcat Insider.
Welcome back to Bobcat Insider, sponsored by First Interstate Bank.
8 from the 42, snap, hands it off. Jackson, blown up in the backfield. Ryland flying downhill, gets the stop in the backfield against Justice Jackson.
Oh yeah, I knew I wanted to kind of step up as a leader on this defense this year, and I felt like I've done a good job of that. You know, it's pretty easy to lead when you got guys like Danny and Nolan out there leading too, and Brody, and there's just so many leaders out there, and really good people that and really good players as well that take control. And so it's all about just doing your 111s, not trying to do too much, and going out there and just having fun with your boys.
What was growing up in Missoula like?
You know, I was a Grizz fan. I went to, I think, every Grizz home game for 14 straight years. I think the first one I missed was for a high school dance my senior year or something like that. I wasn't too happy about that, but no, yeah, my dad and grandpa played. We had season tickets, and yeah, that's basically what I looked forward to in the fall.
Choosing to play football with the Bobcats, you mentioned, you know, 14 straight years of watching games at Cat-Griz. So why come over homestake? Why come here?
The Bobcats took a chance on me, and I'm forever grateful for Coach Choate and that staff taking a chance on me, giving me a foot in the door. Preferred walk-on opportunity was all I was looking for, really. They do give walk-ons shots to actually go compete for jobs and get on the field, whether it's special teams, and you really earn your place here, and that's really what I loved about it.
He fires over the middle, picked off. Ryland grabs it with two hands, intercepted. Cats football. I tell you what, that is a beautiful read from Ryland.
Last year, the Cat-Griz game was probably the best day of my life. I just had so much fun just playing, representing this state, representing my family, representing this program, and you know, obviously getting the win in that game was pretty special.
What did you feel like before that game going into it? Lots of nerves, you know, where was your head at?
Getting my first start in Cat-Griz on defense, I wouldn't say I was nervous. I was just grateful, I would say, is a good word, you know, to get that opportunity. I mean, I've watched so many of those games, and to finally be able to step foot out there with, you know, guys like Nolan Askelson, guys like Callahan O'Reilly, Ty Okada, and others, just wear the Montana State name across my chest was pretty cool.
What's it like being the home team versus the away team during Cat-Griz?
I mean, the fans are right on top of you in Missoula, obviously. They're talking. I'm just, like I said, our fans are talking to those guys over there on that sideline. But you know, I kind of like that feeling of it's us against the world type of deal when you walk into Washington Grizzly Stadium in Missoula, and you know that's how it should be. That's why it's one of the greatest rivalries in the country.
What does it mean to be a Bobcat?
For the opportunity to play Montana, to represent Montana, you know, playing games like Cat-Griz means everything. You know, there's so many good people in this program, and so many good people that have built this program up before me that you know, I want to make proud and